it's always such a great number of ideas. And today you're going to talk about continued professional development, improving online teaching skills while teaching. And this is quite puzzling to me because, I mean, what kind of, I'm really kind of interested in learning what tricks you would suggest us how to improve the methodology, how to improve the procedures, the techniques, while well, teaching online. Because I mean, I feel that we are simply just going wild, playing spontaneously. And since we've got so many hours, so many classes, sometimes we lose this ability to stop for a while and simply to think more closely about what is effective, what is not. So I really do hope that you inspire us with such how to simply step aside and take a look at what we are doing, right? Yeah, and so this is I hope that you tell about. But now it's over to Lucyna. Lucyna, the phone, the microphone. The microphone.
Yes. I didn't want to unmute myself too early, because I'm very talkative. And when I start talking, then people might have problems with me, and I didn't want to create problems to Marcin. I'm so happy to be here with you tonight because I was already getting concerned and I wanted to be here. Okay, so today, since most of us know Emily very well, I will just very briefly repeat that Emily is a language assistant specialist. She represents University of Kansas, and she has very extensive education in all areas which are interesting for us, such as curriculum design, technology enhancement, professional development, and many, many more. So we can learn a lot from Emily. We have been learning from Emily in the first 3 webinars. The first one in November, in which she informed us about online language teaching and how to create a dynamic learning environment. I am reminding all of us about it. Why? Because some of you might not have been participating in this webinar, and this is recorded, so you can go to our YouTube channel and you can watch it as well. Yes, so to broaden your professional repertoire. The second webinar was about choosing technology. And Emily told us what works and what doesn't. Was very useful based on her own experience. And then the third webinar was about differentiated learning online and how to manage and engage, especially large classes, but any kind of classes. And today, yes, Marcin said at the beginning that the title was puzzling for him. It was puzzling for me, and I figured out that what Emily wanted to stress in this title was that we have to develop our professional skills while teaching. Yes, so we are expected to continue teaching, and that's a huge load of work. And at the same time, we are to develop our skills, our knowledge, and this is a very demanding task. And that's why Emily stressed it, so that we have to improve teaching while teaching at the same time. And that is really a demanding task. And today, as Emily wrote in her summary, she will be referring to this fact that we have limited time and limited resources. And the needs of every single one of us are unique. Yes, and how to cater for the unique needs of every single teacher. That is practically impossible, but if we create properly structured communities of practice, we can approach this goal. So in this webinar, Emily will review areas for continued professional development in online teaching. She will tell us how to prioritize, how to set our goals, and how to find opportunities while setting the goals. Through, for example, among others, creating proper teacher networks, and through increasing our motivation, because motivation is at the root of all human activity. So, and she has promised that we will leave renewed and goal-centered with a new community of practice. So over to you, Emily.
Hi there. Okay, so hello everyone. I know that it could be late where you are, still in the early afternoon here, and we have been having some weather difficulties here in Kansas, so I'm very fortunate to see that the weather is improving today. So without further ado, I do want to give you just a little bit of a background about me, and then I will begin into the talk straight away. If you have questions or comments as I'm going along, please feel free to put those in the chat. I am able to see the chat as I present, so I can easily talk to you there. Normally, I would like to go into the breakout rooms, but those that are joining from Facebook, I don't believe can see from the breakout rooms. So we're going to be our own larger community of practice here as well. So again, I am a language specialist at the University of Kansas, and I also am a specialist with the U.S. Department of State. And what this looks like is essentially my job is to do a little bit of both. So I am a teacher. I do teach a variety of courses. And then I also simultaneously am working on curriculum design, assessments, teacher training, many different things. And so trying to keep all of those balls in the air. And so also that requires my own personal development as well. And so I can share from personal experience that I've been in the very same boat that we're all in, where we're trying to teach and juggle our personal lives. And then we're also trying to develop as well and have some space to be able to reflect on our practices. So before I get too far into the talk, I did put a link to a Google Doc here in the chat. So please make sure that you can click on that and open it. We are going to need that as a collaborative work. Very quickly, I just did want to say, hopefully it would be okay to take a few screenshots as we go along. I can't see you, unfortunately, but I may take a few screenshots of the screen. So it's just to say that the U.S. State Department may use those as to demonstrate all of the great work that they're doing, and also all of the wonderful things that IATEFL is doing. All right, so moving on, again, we're talking about continued professional development and how to improve your teaching skills while teaching. And again, I think the point here again is that it is very personalized, because what we all need is quite different. And one thing that we know is that when you go to conferences, it may be you're kind of looking at a really big picture and then trying to find perhaps many different ideas that you feel like you can take away and use when you get home. And so the idea is that actually, in a lot of ways, you can co-create and also self-create your own professional development, in terms of you are the best measurement of what you need to develop. So a few things I'm going to talk about. So again, just an overview of professional development. I want to talk about goal setting for your own self-development, teacher networking, teacher community, using technology to do this, and then finally a discussion and just some application therein. And then within each part, we're going to have some task that we're going to do, so that you guys can participate. And the goal for me is at the end that this becomes a broader network of a community, because here at nighttime or whatever time of the day, you're taking time to professionally develop. So that tells me that step one, that you're doing what is necessary for your own learning. And I think that says a lot. You're already halfway through the battle there. All right, let's start first again with a brief overview of professional development. That's not something we really need to talk about, but I just really want to point out that this is professional development, okay? This is a community. What we're doing right now is kicking, is a great example, a prime example of that. We are now a network of colleagues across the globe. As you can see, we have people here from Poland, from India, from Pakistan, from Kansas, here in the US. So we are now a broader community. This does not have to be, in English, we have a phrase, one and done. So it doesn't mean you do it once out Peru. It doesn't mean we have to meet once and we're finished. I think we have now introduced ourselves, and now we can know that we are a broader community. And I think that's really important. We can keep in touch. We are a teaching community, and we can support each other. And all of that's really important. Okay, so again, just briefly thinking about in terms of, I think we already know a lot of this information. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. But again, thinking about why do we need collaboration? This is an interesting video. She's talking specifically to K-12 teachers or very small children, and about what that looks like in terms of collaboration. And I want to play just a very short clip from this video. So I'm going to share my screen and play just a little bit of this video. Hopefully technology is going to cooperate. And again, what I would like you to do is on the document that I shared, which I'm going to share again, please click on this document. When you click on the document, you're going to see a few things. So let me share my screen, and I can walk you through what I would like you to see. Okay, so if you click on this document, it's going to open up this Google document, and we're going to start here. So the first one is a note-taking section. And what we're going to do is take notes collaboratively. You don't need to add your names or anything here, but the keywords that you hear that you feel like are salient from what she's talking about, we're going to add this here. So again, according to Duncan Witt, why do we need collaboration? So I'm going to go to this video and cross my fingers that it's going to work, that you can hear it. Are you able to hear it? That's just a test. No sound. Okay. All right. Let's try again. Thank you. This is why we have I just checked it and it said yes. If it doesn't play, we can skip that, certainly. Oh, I think I have it. Okay, what about now? Can you? Yeah, I can send the link. So I'll send the Google link here. It's also in the, I can send the YouTube link. Still no sound. Okay, well, that's all right. We can skip that part. This is just an interesting video. She's a little informal for my taste, but she makes some really nice points about So I'm going to stop sharing for now. She makes some really nice points about collaboration and why we need to collaborate. So since we can't see the video, that's okay. We can always improvise. What do you guys think? Why do we need to collaborate with each other? So type your thoughts in the chat since we can't watch the video. I'm still drinking coffee. This is my all-day collaboration. To share knowledge, share ideas. Okay, I love that. What about motivation? I feel like motivation is key right now in terms of personal development. Yeah, support, exactly. Okay, guidance, helping each other, exactly, right. So that's really been the key, communicating, mutual understanding, cheering up, absolutely, hands down. Yeah, so you guys are right on track. So that's exactly right. I agree with that 100%. So often what my survival throughout the pandemic and with this transition to online, even though I was actually already teaching online, had familiarity with it, it still has been a huge transition. Hello from the Philippines. Wow, this is amazing. All right, so we're going to skip this video, but I did link in the Google Doc, and it's also here in the chat, so feel free to watch this later as well. All right, let's move on. All right, so I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Tesol Principles, but I just want to briefly talk about that, and then again, what this looks like. So this particular webinar is not largely theoretical. It's going to be very practical, because I feel like that's why we're here. The end of the day, how can I translate this into the classroom? So Tesol Principle 6 essentially said that teachers engage and collaborate within a community of practice. So what they're saying is that there are 6 principles only. And the 6th principle is to engage and collaborate within a community of practice. So Tesol is really presenting this as, this is essential. This is not optional. Teaching is not an island. It's not something you can do on your own. As you guys have mentioned, we need to share ideas, share knowledge, support, cheer each other up. This year has been incredibly hard. And 2021, at least for me, has continued to be incredibly hard. And so looking through all of those things and using our resources that we have, it's important. So again, we're always thinking about what are our online teaching goals? And again, this could mirror what your face-to-face teaching goals are. Generally speaking, what are your goals for teaching? And if you aren't making goals for teaching, that's a really good starting point. Because in order to be able to develop as you go, you have to have a goal. Even before, and you don't have to start at the beginning of the term. I like to, but the idea is that you have goals that you're saying, okay, this semester, I'm going to focus on this, or this 7 weeks, whatever your term is. This is what I'm going to focus on for my teaching. And we're just talking about teaching at this point. That could also involve your assessment practice or your curriculum as well. But what is it that you feel you need to work on, and how are you going to do it? Again, how are you going to participate with other teachers outside of your context? And then again, how are you going to build community within your own teaching context? So what I'd like to do, because this seems simple, but this is actually really life-changing. So I want to spend a few minutes and have you think about this. Again, if we go back to my screen sharing, which I'm about to do again, since there's no audio, we shouldn't have any issues there. And again, going back to here, we're looking at some goal setting. So you can look at mine, all right? So my goal setting here, Emily, my goal is to hone assessment writing and editing skills, because that's going to affect my teaching, actually. Good teaching should be resulted in assessment. And assessment online is a completely different ballgame than assessment in the classroom, as I'm sure that you well know. So again, these are some things I'm going to do for that. So I'm going to look for some best practices. I'm going to review curriculum that I create. So as I'm teaching, every test that I that I make, I'm looking at the scores. I'm going over those scores. I'm looking to see, were there typos? Were my directions unclear? Did I not give them enough time? Did all of my students fail this test? What do I need to do? So the same things we would do in a face-to-face class, but I'm really looking at it online. What other factors that may have contributed to assessment? Maybe the students are not tech savvy. Maybe their typing is really slow. Those are things that really can affect assessment ability. And actually, are the students familiar with this type of assessment? So maybe they have not, they know multiple choice, but they haven't had to do a fill in the blank test in Blackboard before, their learning management system. So all of those things actually really matter. And then for me, one of my main goals is to leave time to edit. So before the next semester, I want to make sure that I look at the test, I reflect on it, and I want to make some changes before I do that. So before we move on, I want to show you a document which I have shared. And so Marcin will be able to get it to you, but I just want to share this with you. This is something that I create every term and in this case, every year, and it's my professional goal planning. So what I go through is I put my name and then I come up with 5 goals. Maybe it's 3. It's totally up to you of what you want to do. And you're going to go through, create your goals, and then for all of my professional development, it has to match one of these goals. So I'm making sure that everything I'm doing is really targeted. I don't want, I'm hoping you guys can see this. Or can you see the goal sheet? I just had some fear that maybe you can't. Yes, you can. I can see. Okay. So my goal is always going to be, what am I doing to make sure that I am targeting what I said I wanted to do? So for example, I talked about effective online assessment. So that's my goal too. So let's say that I meet with a colleague of mine tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be the 23rd, and I'm working on goal 2, and she and I are going to review my last assessment. Again, I'm not having to pay to go necessarily anywhere. This is my colleague. She's very good at assessment. And I just want to say, listen, I gave this assessment to my students. Can you review my directions? I got a lot of questions from students over the weekend saying, I don't know what you're asking. We didn't study this question, those type of things. So can you really just help me let me talk to you about my assessment, and then talk to me about how maybe I could make this better. So again, that's something I could do within the network I already have. If I'm really wanting to work on online assessments, then what I'm looking for online is going to be about online assessments. So I'm going to go to webinars, to different things that I'm looking for that. So I don't want to talk over this too much because it's fairly simple, but again, the goal is whatever you're doing for professional development that you either pay for or that's free, you're going to tie it to a goal of what you've already determined for this year that you want to do for your teaching. And again, here's the thing. It's not like we have time. It actually depends, and it depends on your context. So in the US, if you teach in K-12, you could possibly take the summer off. Some teachers do, some teachers don't. At higher ed, it's possible to take the summers off. For me, because I work on administrative work, I am a 12-monther, so I don't take time off. So for me, if I want to grow professionally, I have to do it throughout the year as I'm going. I don't have time to just set aside and just work on my professional development. And I think that's important because we're busy. And so we want to focus on how can we do this as we go along. So I don't want to spend too much time on this, but it actually is very, very crucial. So you guys are in this document. I can see you. So what I'd love for you to do, just to have some examples, let's write your name. You don't have to put your last anonymous if you'd like. And I want you to talk about a goal. You don't have to be this detailed here, but share a goal that you have for your teaching that you want to improve here. So let's just take a few minutes. That's my mother. Sorry about that. That's the advantage. That's the downside to the linking things to my text message. Okay, so again, write your name if you're comfortable, and go ahead and write a teaching goal that you have. So mine again is working on assessment. So let's take maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and everyone just write here in these. I would love to see your goals, and again, maybe seeing other people's goals will also help you as well. While you guys are writing, I'm going to check the chat. Okay, good. So write your goals in the shared. While we're doing this, do you guys have any questions so far? Questions, comments? Where is the link? Okay, I will post the link again. Thank you. Here you go, Christopher. No problem. Do you guys normally do this? Is this something that, I mean, maybe this is something you're already doing. So, but typically for me, I don't share my goals with other people always. So this is actually a real goal for me, is assessment writing. That's actually quite true, because I'm working on creating assessments for beginners right now. So they're beginner English learners, and that are completely online. And so that's really detailed, and there's a lot to learn from that. And so this is a real goal that I'm sharing with you guys that I'm working on. So it's just something that has worked really well, that you can do really easily as you're teaching, because you can just reflect back of, what am I doing to reach this goal throughout the year? And I don't know about your context, but in my context, we have to write annual evaluations. And in the teaching section, they always comment on, what were your teaching goals? Did you reach them? How did that work? So this is just a really nice way to set yourself up to be prepared to share with administrators in your context about your teaching. So let's just kind of see, we have some here so far. Engaging, interesting, dynamic. Okay. Is it Aja? Please reach out to me. I've got some ideas there too. Christopher, authentic assessment. Yeah, exactly. Okay. I love these guys. Let's see if we have like a couple more. Thank you guys for sharing. It's so, intimidating to do that, but these are amazing. There's no perfect goal. It's just about what works for you. So that's actually quite important. Okay, asynchronous activities. Yeah, I have some more ideas about that too. Christopher, we can come back to that. Okay, this is great. All right, so while you guys are sharing, keep going with this. I don't want to put people on the spot. I'm going to stop my sharing for just a second and continue on with the presentation where we were. So again, what are your online goals? And then how are you going to reach those goals? So for me, again, my goal is assessment. So I'm going to go to talks, and I have been going to talks that are specifically about assessment. So that has been really helpful. So we have talks at the university where I work. I'm able to go to some of those. I work on the curriculum committee. I can talk to them. I also have been reaching out to friends I know that study assessment, and I've been reading a lot about assessment, trying to find articles about assessment, particularly online assessment, and then assessment as it pertains to language learning. And also, I think it's possible too, if you like to do research, and it's possible for you, if it depends on your institution. For me, I would have to get approval, research approval. But if that's possible, it's a really good time to really get into what is working for research in terms of assessment. So that's just something to think about as well. So doing some active research on your own students to learn some things that you're looking for is a possibility, because you already have a set of learners. You have some questions that you want answers to, and doing some action research might be a really great way to get that information. So I'm just kind of throwing that in there. That I didn't intend to talk about that. And then again, how am I going to participate? So I talked about outside of my network, I'm reaching out, I'm going to webinars, I'm reading articles, I am doing all of these things. And then within my own community, I'm showing my test to other teachers and having them review and give me some feedback both before and after I'm running those tests. Okay, again, back to Tesol Principles 6. So if you haven't read the Tesol Principles, I've linked this here and you'll have access to the PowerPoint, but definitely would recommend going to look at those. And again, we're really focusing on engaging, collaborating within a community of practice, but you'll find that all of these are also very applicable for online teaching and face-to-face teaching as well. Just to unpack what I think is most salient from the Tesol Principles 6 is that, again, teachers need to collaborate and that teachers need to be fully engaged in their profession. So in terms of collaborating, you can co-plan. I do that often. Right now, I'm teaching a course, another colleague is teaching a course, and we can share materials with each other. We can talk to each other about, you know, what are you covering? What are you doing? Where are you in the book? Those type of things. That's actually quite helpful. Again, taking time if you can, or possibly talking to your administration about time for collaboration, if possible, via Zoom or technology or face-to-face, however you're meeting in your context currently. Having a growth mindset. So the idea is that right now, I think you guys are already there. Why? Because you're here. So again, the idea of we can't possibly know everything about teaching. Teaching is an art. It's also a science. So it's always going to be changing. It's always going to be evolving the needs of our learners. Even if I had the best magical way to teach a language, I would still have to adapt it to the group of students in front of me. So that's what I'm thinking about as well. And then again, engaging in ongoing professional development, which is what we're talking about today. So we've talked about goal setting. So again, I will ensure that you get this document, and I will put it in a Google file folder for Marcin to make sure that you have it. And then you're welcome to adapt this as you feel, as you would like. Again, so now we're talking about goals or activities. And going back to our document, let me go down a little bit further, pardon. All right, thinking about one or two goals or activities that you could do for professional development. So let's put those, we've already kind of done those as well. So now we're going to talk a little bit about teacher networking. So again, networking outside of your context, how can you build those networks? The first thing, again, is to join an organization. You can be a member or a board member, or you can just simply be a member of a network. I'm on a board in my regional, Tesol, Mid-Tesol, and that has been such a growth opportunity for me. It also keeps me really informed with all of the work that they're doing versus just being a member. So that has been something I would encourage you to do. And often you'll think, oh, that's, it's just something that I find the time to do it, even though I don't, we're so busy, but it's just one of those things that I decided was going to be a priority for me, was to be a board member on this organization. And so that has really helped me stay connected to a larger group of teachers, essentially. Attend conferences, workshops, or talks with a smaller group work. So again, in a best case scenario, we would do, and if we still have time at the end, I might still come back to that. We do some breakout rooms, because I feel like that's when you really engage and you can apply, you talk from each other. The last presentation that I did here, we did some breakout rooms, and I learned some really valuable ideas about what people are doing. So we know that it's a great tool, and that you guys have amazing things to share. Again, just thinking about networking happens over time. So even if you were going to a large conference, and this was not in the COVID era where we could shake hands and say hello to people and feel comfortable with that, it does take time. So you're going to continue to go to different conferences because all of that it takes time as well. Yep, these are great. So LinkedIn is really good. I don't know if you guys use LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a way to meet other professionals in all fields. So that could be of interest. So I definitely use LinkedIn and have reached out and been able to keep in contact with a bunch of my colleagues from around the world. You can follow organizations on social media or their website. So almost all major organizations have a social media presence. And so IA TEFL, yay! A little shout out to you guys, right? So a huge media presence and ongoing webinars here. I've been just so excited and impressed with what I've seen. And so it's been exciting to be able to participate and to be here with you guys. So I think that's amazing. American English at State has a lot of resources and readings and webinars and social media presence. And again, that's through the U.S. Department of State, which is why I'm here today. So that's amazing. Tesol, of course, Edutopia, and We Are Teachers. Those are more geared toward K-12, but often have really good ideas and materials for English language learners. So you definitely want to check this out. And Amir has some other stuff here as well. Cambridge webinars, Oxford. Yeah, the Pearson has webinars, National Geographic. There's just a lot. There's a lot out there. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Amir. And I apologize if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Okay. So again, where do you teach or network? And that's where we're going to go back to our Google Doc. So I'm going to type it one more time here. Make sure everybody is there. Share my screen. The goal is for this to be as collaborative as you would like it to be. So please do so. All right, where do you teach or network? Okay, so we've got some good things here. Oops. Again, the goal here is for us to be able to share and have a broader group here. Yeah, Facebook, webinar for English teachers. Oh, that's nice. Okay, Tesol. And you guys will have the links so you can look at these later. So again, American English at State. IA TEFL. I'm going to talk a lot about Instagram as one for me as well. Yeah, you also have Relo in this area. You have Relo Talon. Oh dear. I may have spelled that wrong. Tallin. No. Oh, no. I think it's 2 L's, 2 N's, I believe. Okay, so again, you can keep adding to those as we go. That's wonderful. I love these. Okay, these are awesome. Can think of some more. All right, then that would be wonderful. All right, so let's keep going because I want to make sure that we have enough time to discuss and go as we National Geographic. Oh, Macmillan. Manali, can you add that to the Google Doc for me, please? That would be wonderful. Can someone do that? Macmillan, I forgot. National Geographic, I did get. Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. These are amazing. Okay, so moving on. Oh, the network is very bad. No worries. Someone will add it, or I will try to add it, Monali. No worries. Thank you so much. Okay, so getting back to teacher community. Let's talk very briefly about that. So again, I think back to the original comment earlier. How can we do this as we're teaching? Well, we're going to do it as we're going along because we're going to think about our own network of people that we know. So for me, my network is pretty wide. I've been quite lucky because I have worked abroad and in different places in the US, in different areas of the US. So I've been very lucky in that regard. And so I have been fortunate to be able to reach out to people and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. How are you? What ideas do you have about this? This is what I'm thinking. What do you think? And it's just been I've been very lucky to do that. So one idea is to think about book clubs. And you can kind of make the decision as to whether are you going to be the one to form these with other friends or colleagues that you have, and again, it doesn't necessarily always have to be in language teaching. I think language teaching is unique, but if you have other friends that are also teachers that are interesting, or even administrators, because I think there's a lot of interesting conversation you could have there as well. So again, you could have a book club where you meet once a month and you talk about a book. That could be really quite interesting, or a video that you watched, or a technique that you want to try out with another person. So that's just an idea. You can team teach. I used to do this. I haven't done this as much recently, but it's something I'm wanting to do in my context because, as I mentioned, I'm teaching the same class with my colleague. So it would be really easy for us to combine courses and to teach our class together. And then in a very similar way to what we're doing, one person is leading this group, the other person is leading this. It would be very easy in an online Zoom or Teams to be able to team teach. And so that's something I'm looking forward to because I grow the most when I'm collaborating with other people. Also, as I mentioned, sharing materials with each other. So again, I'm going to learn from other materials that have been shared with me. And I think some of this is a little bit, it's a fine balance because you want it to be a mutual relationship. You don't want it to be one-sided in terms of sharing, but we grow by being able to share and observe with each other. So that's something I've done quite a bit. And that is something that I feel like has probably been the biggest growth for me as a teacher. You can also, again, as I mentioned before, have a tech buddy. So, hey, I'm working on this. You can help each other solve problems. Actually, in a lot of ways, I do reach out to IT and our ed tech professionals. They have been so helpful, but I've also learned a lot about how to solve a lot of my own tech problems too. And so if you have someone if you say, hey, I want to try out this new technology, will you work with me? one of you guys mentioned some activities, engaging activities, even an activity. I want to try this activity online. I don't know if it's going to work. Can I practice it with you first? And you practice it together, give each other some feedback, and then by the time you do it in class, you're just much more comfortable. And I think that's actually really important. Something that we do here in our organization is to use Marco Polo. Sometimes it's been a nice way to be able to collaborate. I have checked, it does work internationally. So it's an app that you put on your phone, and it's basically an asynchronous video chat. So it's a way to record videos that someone can watch later on the app. It's been really nice. It's been a nice way for me personally to keep in touch with friends and family, but also it could be something that you use with your faculty as well. That's something we have done here in my institution, just to keep presence with each other and share ideas. And then also something fun. Because again, we talked about cheering each other up. We talked about motivation. We talked about encouragement. And so Zoom, it doesn't have to be Zoom. We could have click karaoke if we wanted. But the idea is that I have done this actually, and it was really fun to be able to sing songs. It's normally, if you're not a good singer, it could be funnier than it is anything else. But I think that's the point, is just finding things that we can still do in an online setting. And Zoom karaoke is one. It's just a really nice way to share with each other. And yes, again, maybe it's not growth in the terms of our learning, but it's learning about each other and motivating each other and encouraging. And I think that's also very important as well. Okay, so again, how do you build community in your context? So how do you work? How do you talk to your other colleagues? If we could have watched the video, she talks a little bit about that, about some strategies for reaching other people. So going back to the Google Doc, how are you reaching your other, how are you building your community where you are in your context? So I'm going to scroll down. How do you build community in your context? So again, write your name and where you are, because I think that's okay. Because what may work in one context may not work in another context, or maybe they do. And I would just love to be able to see those. So I'm just going to skip down here and put some examples. So let's take a few minutes here. We have about 10 minutes left. So let's just see what we can share here as well to talk about community as we go along. If you have questions or comments, you can also put those in the chat. Definitely be able to reach out. While they're typing, I'm going to go back here and add Macmillan. Goodness. That is not proper. Yes, that's what I meant. Thank you. National Geographic. Okay. Education Global. So I just want to point out that after this webinar, you'll have some time to go back and look at these and also add more comments here. So I would just love for this to be a way that you guys can continue sharing as well. I think that would be really wonderful. Okay. Okay. All right, let's keep moving. Just keep typing as we go. We're almost finished. So another thing that I do to learn ideas and also to get inspiration is to use Instagram. So I have a teacher Instagram. I also have a teacher Facebook as well. And so that's when I post things. I see things that other people post. I follow Edutopia and We Are Teachers and other pages like that, so I can really stay apprised of what's going on. It also helps me to know what's going on outside of higher ed, which I really appreciate, and also in higher ed. So it's just a really nice way to find ideas. And so again, Instagram for me provides motivation. I'm able to see a lot of really nice ideas. It gives a broader community of practice, so I've been able to reach out to other teachers there and also keep in contact with some teachers as well. And then also inspiration and innovation. So I've learned just some amazing ideas there as well. So you can see some of the hashtags that I follow on Instagram. Hashtag #ITeach2, Teacher Tribe, Instagram Teacher, English Teachers, Teachers Follow Teachers, We Are Teachers, Teacher Life Success Quotes. That would be more for motivation. And then also, again, organizations. So I've been following IATEFL on Facebook. And of course, their website is amazing. American English at State, I mentioned Tesol, Edutopia, We Are Teachers, or excuse me, Teacher to Teacher, We Are Teachers. There's just a lot out there. And so, again, having all of those examples, feel free to put those on the Google Doc as well, because we can always follow up with those later. If you are interested in following me on Instagram, ESL Emily is my name on Instagram. And then lastly, just want to talk a little bit more about Marco Polo. These are some of the technology that I've been using. So again, Facebook I didn't talk about, but that's one. Instagram, and then Marco Polo. So that's something I've been doing. So this is an actual recording, not a very good screenshot, but a way to be able to talk to my colleagues and share very quickly. And again, you have all of the face-to-face content of it. And then right now with Microsoft Teams, students are able to reach out to me. So I've been able to keep in good contact with colleagues in my context, abroad, to be able to keep professionally learning. If anything else, like in 2020 and 2021, I have actually done more professional development than ever before. So I was doing a lot before, and now I feel like I'm doing even more, just because there's so many opportunities and it's so much more affordable being able to do things from home. And there just are a lot of there's just a lot of great content out there. And so that's a beautiful thing that we're seeing with being able to do more learning online, which is what we're, again, doing today. So the last thing I would like to do, the last two things, is to talk about what motivates you to develop professionally, because again, all of that's going to matter in terms of being able to grow as you're teaching. If thinking about those things on days that you're tired, on days that technology doesn't work, I can't tell you the number of like bizarre things that have happened to me. So thinking about those things, what my motivation for me is really helpful for me on those times that it can be quite trying, and also when students need encouragement as well. So let's go back to very briefly. Look at the screen. I'm going to go back to the Google Doc. Okay, going down. What motivates you to develop professionally? So I shared a couple of ideas. Okay. Because again, the big thing is you will do what you're motivated to do. So thinking about reflection, all of those practices, that's how we're going to be able to do it as we're teaching. That's going to be what keeps us going, right? So Instagram ideas from around the world, I learned amazing ideas. And again, that's another reason to do this Google Doc. This isn't just something I'm imparting to you. You guys have amazing ideas. We are a community. We are a network. We're here for each other to support each other. And so I want you to feel free that this is something that you're sharing and contributing to. And I will be learning from you just as much as I hope that you're learning from me as well. So training teachers, talking to teachers gives me energy. It's so exciting for me talking to other teachers and learning what they're doing and what's successful for them. Teaching, my students make me want to be better. When I talk to my students, when they're like, oh, thank you so much. You know, I'm sorry to email you on Sunday, but I have some questions. That makes me want to be a better teacher for them. And then my colleagues who try new things and they share, it's motivating. It's exciting for me when they say, hey, I learned about this new opportunity. This is exciting. Do you want to try this out for me? It gives me energy. It makes me happy. And so all of those things are really, really motivating. So students, activity, helping students to learn easily, having fun is so important. And I think that's ultimately what it gets down to. How can we grow as we're learning? We just adjust. We're motivated. We know that it takes time. And that this is an ongoing process that we'll be doing the rest of our lives. Stop learning, we start going backwards. Yeah, I think that's really true. I think that we have to be lifelong learners as teachers. It's just something that's absolutely necessary. And then the last thing, again, I hope that you guys go back, but if you want to keep in touch, this is my email. This is my Instagram ID. We have Christopher's Facebook. So if you're comfortable with that, you can keep in touch with me or each other. That's up to you. But I hope that if you're comfortable, you'll share and you'll definitely keep in contact with IA TEFL. I know they would love to hear from you as well. But I would love for you to keep in touch. Reach out to me on Instagram, or I think I can't remember my Facebook ID, but I can add that later. But definitely reach out if you have questions, if you're looking for resources, if you want to talk about more ideas for fun or more ideas about. I think someone mentioned authentic materials. Please reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk over those things with you. As well, because there might be something that I know, and if I don't, I'm sure that together we can definitely determine it as well. So I'll just end there, magically 2 minutes before time. So again, hopefully this was very helpful for you. And then if you have any questions, talk to me, and I'd be happy to talk about those things. I'm just going to take a quick screenshot. I can always take out your name if that's okay, but I just want to, this is my last webinar, so I just want to document this occasion and talk through it. If I didn't mention something that you'd like me to talk about, I have a couple of minutes I'm happy to answer as well. I talked a little more broadly, but if you want to talk a little bit about like time management or how to do this, something more concrete, I'm happy to talk about that as well. Marcin, did I answer your questions from the beginning? I feel like I didn't, maybe I missed something.
Marcin is joining us.
Okay.
Rejoining.
Okay.
That was absolutely what I expected. Thanks, and I like the thing that the easy tools can be used, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be anything unreachable for a like average teacher. Anyone can use the things that you have mentioned. So that's a thing. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. I would also like to thank you, Emily. And since you mentioned at the beginning, you said something about documenting your webinars. I've been documenting every single webinar so far, and I've been sending screenshots plus invitations to Peter Wiley,
Okay.
who is our editor-in-chief. And I opened up those emails, and I have already resent the first
Oh,
three
perfect.
emails to
Perfect.
you. To
Okay.
you and Micah, because Micah also mentioned that they make some kind of documentation, and I've been taking many screenshots since you mentioned it in this webinar, 10 of them I think, and I will send them to you as well.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yes, it's
Martin
so
will
wonderful.
enable me to read the report, and I will attach the report as
Of
well, so
course.
everything will
Of
be
course.
perfect.
Perfect.
So once again, thank you very much. It's been
Absolutely.
really fruitful cooperation, and I hope we will keep in touch.
Absolutely. I would love that.
So would we in IATF Poland, of course.
Thanks a lot, Emily, and thanks a lot, everybody. I would like to remind you that we've got some other events coming this week. So we've got Joanna Perkowska-Wiley on the 26th of February. She'll talk about using Genially, an escapist, fun way to prepare students for Matura exams. So stay tuned. Please refer to our website, iatf.org.pl/webinars, where you've got all the current information on the events, on the webinars. And Emily, would it be possible to upload some of your materials on our website? Can we talk about it later?
Yeah, we can talk about that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Fantastic. So, guys, thanks a lot. And this is especially important for us because this year we are celebrating the 30 years of being 4Teachers, and basically we try doing all these things that you, Emily, mentioned, forming some kind of forum for teachers, creating some space for development, self-development, but also sharing with others. So, Emily, thanks a lot once again. Bye-bye. There's one thing. I would also forget to mention that on the 27th of February, you would be welcome to our lesson live. And this is yet another way to provide some inspiration for our students. So if you go to our homepage, you will see there is this IATF Poland first ever live lesson online. So we invite you to a Zoom lesson run by Urszula Majdańska-Wachowicz. It's going to be on Saturday. And after watching a lovely team of students being taught by Ula, you are invited to a short discussion and debriefing of the live lesson online. Okay, so thank you very much, guys, and see you soon. Bye bye.